April 24, 2018, in the golden glow of Orange County, Florida, a deadly obsession took root, wrapped in the glossy promise of home renovation dreams. David Trance and Shanti Cooper seemed to have it all, the promise of a bright new chapter. David became consumed with transforming their rundown property into the perfect reality TV pitch. But he wasn't just changing a house, he was trying to bury a far darker secret.
Hello? She's not breathing. I'm trying to do CPR. I can't.
Okay, listen to me.
This is David.
Your name is Dan?
David.
Okay, your name is David? Okay, who is it that's not breathing?
My wife. I'm Shanti.
Your wife is not breathing?
That day, David claimed he came home after walking their dog to find his wife Shanti unresponsive, face down in the bathtub. But from the moment first responders stepped inside, something felt off.
The officers on scene didn't believe you, and neither do we. You fucked up. That's the end of it. You screwed up.
To understand the storm brewing behind that facade, let's go back to the beginning. Born in 1980, Shanti Cooper built a thriving career in the finance and software improvement sectors. She eventually founded her own company, a consulting firm that helped over 100 manufacturing businesses to implement lean efficiency models. But beyond her career, Shanti's greatest joy was her son Jackson. After her 2013 divorce from her first husband Jim, Shanti became a devoted single mother, the kind who would move mountains for her son. After a shared custody, Shanti decided to give online dating a try, and that's when she met David Trance on Match.com. Originally from Minneapolis, David's past was mostly unremarkable. Most called him stubborn and emotionally closed off. But to Shanti, none of that mattered at first. He seemed to offer the steady stability she'd been craving. Their connection quickly moved offline. Before long, things turned serious. He confided in Shanti that he had recently gone through a divorce, claiming he'd inherited more than $4 million. Soon, David packed up his life and moved to Florida to be with her. Florida's sunshine seemed to spark something in David, a restless energy that craved a challenge far bigger than unpacking boxes. He became obsessed with the sprawling historic home at 218 East Copeland Drive. It's of 4,000 square feet with a pool, but crumbling at its core. It only fueled his ambition, so he bought it for $600,000 and set out to renovate every inch. Contractors had begun demolition on the site, but the project quickly spiraled into a costly disaster. David had insisted on removing most of the internal walls, presumably to create an open-plan space. However, this left the building as an unsafe shell. Despite his claims of wealth, Shanti found herself footing the bill for everything, from their wedding to the property's renovation costs. The house sat in a trust fund under David's name and his mother's. Even after their marriage, Shanti's name was nowhere to be found. Yet, she poured roughly $250,000 into the renovation. By April 2018, their marriage was crumbling. The financial strain and emotional distance were taking a toll. Shanti had grown tired of David's obsessive plans. She confided in friends that she was unhappy. They were living in a cramped apartment above the garage, and Shanti was trying to run her business from there. Eventually, they stopped even sharing a bed, and the strain was becoming unbearable. David wasn't exactly winning people over. Many found him manipulative and downright creepy. Contractors came and went, frustrated with his constantly shifting demands. The renovation, which should have been completed in months, dragged on for years. But David still believed this house could save him, maybe even make him famous. So he reached out to someone who could open that door. Keith Ory, a TV personality from the hit show Zombie House Flipping, which featured teams buying foreclosed homes, renovating them, and flipping for profit.
What are we doing at this house?
This thing was belched out of the Earth's innards.
Oh my God, what is this?
The zombie house. Together, we hunt these zombies down to flip for top dollar.
David thought this was his golden ticket. He was especially drawn to the idea of being on reality show. Keith agreed to come see the house, but what he walked into wasn't just a fixer-upper. It was a disaster zone, a place that had been ripped apart by more than just tools. Still, something about the story intrigued Keith, and the renovation was scheduled to be featured in the next season of the show. By the time spring rolled into 2018, the dream was over for Shanti Cooper. Weeks before the cameras were set to roll on Zombie House Flipping, she met with the show's producers and abruptly stormed out. On the afternoon of April 24th, David claimed he had just returned from walking the dogs and hadn't seen Shanti all day. Around 4 p.m., David said he stepped into the garage apartment, then heard water running behind the bathroom door. When he opened it, David found her in the bathtub, unresponsive. He told police that he pulled her out, then attempted CPR. Only then, he claimed, did he finally call for help. When emergency responders arrived, they pronounced 39-year-old Shanti deceased. Initially, David claimed it was an accidental death, but the scene told a different story. Officers noted signs of a severe beating on Shanti's body. The bathtub was dry and also no splash marks on the floor, contradicting David's account of pulling her from the water. Shanti was still wearing pajamas, with only one earring on, as if she'd been interrupted while getting ready for sleep. Bruises marked her face, and blood spatter was found near the bed. Detectives believed she had been attacked in the bedroom, then her body staged in the tub. Shanti's ex-husband Jim Cooper was one of the first to be questioned, but he had a rock-solid alibi and was quickly ruled out. There were no signs of forced entry, yet David insisted a burglar had broken in, killed Shanti, and taken her $15,000 diamond engagement ring. Police brought him for questioning to clear out their suspicions. As soon as David entered the interrogation room, he started with fake tears.
So you guys knew each other approximately 5 years this month. I know this is tough. Take a minute, okay? I know this is super tough.
It's doing so good. It's doing so good. It's such a good weekend.
At first, David described finding Shanti in the bathtub, claiming he had done everything he could.
Is the bathroom door open or closed? Open? Okay, and so you walk toward the water that you're hearing?
Yeah, walking in the bathroom.
Okay. The door is open, and what happens? What do you see?
I see her laying with her head in the right-hand corner. The water is running, but I don't think the drain is closed, because if it was, it would be going over, right? So the water's like half full. She's submerged partially, but she's also partially not submerged, and one of her legs is kind of sticking up and out a little bit. And it's just extremely awful, and it doesn't look natural. Obviously she fell or something happened, and I tried to pick her up. I turned the water off. I tried to pick her up. She's stiff. It's hard.
She's stiff?
It's hard to pick her up. She's not. It's like a sack of potatoes, you know. It's not easy. She's not moving with me. I grabbed her arms and kind of pulled her this way, and over, I think partially over, and that's when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to carry her. I tried to pull her. I was being as careful as I could, and at the same time I wanted to get her out of the water. I was screaming, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I pulled her out into the other room, and I didn't know what to do. It was hard to move her that way, so I turned her and I held on to her wrists. I thought that I'm still thinking that there's something I can do to help, and I'm kind of moving her, trying to get her, to shake her a little bit and trying to get the water out of her lungs. I got her in front of the couch, and I had to stop and put her down, and I tried to lift her head up to kind of clear, like I guess it's the thing you do if you're going to do CPR or something. And she's...
When questioned about the blood spatter around the bed, David tried to explain it away, blaming it on Shanti's menstruation.
So you had sex Saturday and Sunday, and there's no issues as far as...
She was at the end of her period, and there, it was messy. Mm-hmm. It was very messy. That was, other than that, that was...
What do you mean messy?
She was still bleeding.
Okay. So, are you saying that blood is got somewhere?
I understand the gravity of the question, and at the same time, it did get on the bedspread, and it did get on the side of the bed.
Which side of the bed?
The left-hand side, as you face it.
As you face the end of the bed? Where on the left-hand side?
Everywhere on the bedspread, on the sheet.
So, is there something covering that up now, or no?
We changed the sheets.
You changed the sheets? Okay. And what day was that?
Monday after Jackson went to school.
After a while, Detective Barb confronted David about the bruises on Shanti's neck, but he brushed it off, claiming they were from their intimate moments.
I did have to think about what you said earlier. I certainly had my hands, and always, it's our normal, would be my, I'm not joking in any way, but I do always have my hands on her shoulder, here and here. That's
From behind or in the front?
Behind. I'm behind her, and I would have my hands.
On her shoulders?
Yeah.
In what circumstance?
Intercourse.
Intercourse?
You had asked if there was something during a position where I'd have my hands on her body and...
On her throat, specifically.
Okay, and I'm saying not throat, but you also just said any reason why you would have your hands, and I'm sorry if but I certainly did have my hands here.
And you're saying
here.
from behind?
And on top, yeah.
So your Saturday and Sunday, you would have been touching the tops of her shoulders during intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would your hands have any indication? And what I meant when I asked you that, David, is sometimes couples will play that game where it heightens an orgasm if you preclude someone from breathing for just a moment right before orgasm. It's like the choking game that they call it, where it heightens an orgasm if you choke one another. Do you ever do that?
We've never done that.
As David's story grew shakier, Detective Barb pulled out a photo of Shanti, pointing the blunt force trauma of her head and bruises on her face.
Primary thing is the fact that the injuries that this woman, sustained, that I saw on her, absolutely 100%, in my opinion, not possible from a slip and a fall in a bathtub.
You got to explain that, David.
You've said a lot. Can I have a chance to?
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a one-way conversation.
Okay. Neither. So. Let's just start.
Starting with the injuries, because that's our biggest concern. Is how do you explain this woman's head being swollen, her eyes being black and swollen, lacerations on her face where the blood has dried this way? Yet she's in a tub supposedly full with water. I don't think by any means that whatever happened today was intentional, was planned, what was part of your character, of who you are, by any means. But I know, and you know, that something happened there today that caused this, because it didn't happen from a slip and fall in the bathtub.
By the end of the interrogation, both detectives had lost patience, frustrated by how closed off David remained and tried to deceive them from the start.
I'm so sorry.
You don't have the truth? David, you killed this woman.
I cooperated so I could give you all the information and all.
You cooperated because you thought that your language would overwhelm us, and you thought you could pull the wool over our
I
eyes.
don't think there was any effort to do that.
All these tangents, all this flowery,
The tangents
fancy
were
language,
answers to
all the
questions that you
details.
asked. To questions that you asked.
You know, you fake cried for about 7 or 8 hours today. Not one tear came out of your eyes, not one. You sat there for the last 2 hours and stared at her picture, and you haven't cried. Not one tear. You're staring at a woman you're telling us you're in love with, and you've done nothing the whole time. But close your eyes, huddle up, and protect your own ass. And that's all you've done. You've not shed one tear on that picture. Not one. You claim to love that woman? I would be under the fucking table in a ball if I was in love with that woman and she was dead. I know you think your theatrics and your maybe some drama that you've had in your past was good. It was terrible. The officers on scene didn't believe you, and neither do we. You fucked up. That's the end of it. You screwed up.
With no solid evidence or confession, detectives had no choice but to release David while continuing their investigation.
On a murder mystery in Orlando. It's been a week since a woman was found dead inside a home, and today there are still unanswered questions about what exactly happened. News 6 reporter Mark Lehman explains why police have ruled her death as a homicide and what they're saying about the investigation.
In the quiet upscale neighborhood near Delaney Park, the only sign that a crime happened at this home is the sign itself, offering a reward for help in solving the case. As the investigation continues, we've asked police if they believe this crime is random or perhaps targeted, but the only thing they are telling us is that no other details are being released at this time.
But even as the evidence around Shanti's murder began to tighten, the full picture of David Trance was only just beginning to come into focus. Detectives were no longer dealing with a grieving husband. They were peeling back the layers of a man who had spent years living a carefully hidden double life. Investigators uncovered that David was a frequent visitor at a local Orlando bathhouse, known for discreet encounters between men. He had even gone there the day after his wedding, and again just 2 weeks before Shanti's murder. In an unexpected twist, an employee came forward, recognizing David immediately. He claimed David was a regular. Even, he recalled walking in on him mid-act with another man.
I was just walking through, and I saw David. He was giving oral sex to this guy.
After months of unraveling a story stitched together with lies, detectives were finally ready. They had pieced together the twisted puzzle, and every jagged edge pointed straight to David. On August 29, 2018, he was arrested and formally charged with the murder of his wife Shanti Cooper Trance.
For 4 months, 50-year-old David Trance has walked the streets, a free man ever since his wife, 39-year-old Shanti Cooper Trance, was found dead in their Delaney Park home. Until now.
Mr. Trance, you're here pursuant to a capias or probable cause order for first-degree murder.
Trance stood before a judge from the Orange County Jail. First-degree murder charges on the books. He was arrested Wednesday night.
That same day, detectives discovered that the ring David claimed had been stolen was quietly tucked away in his possessions. But the truth went deeper than anyone could have imagined. Just 1 week before his arrest, David had quietly tried to cash in, not one, but 2 life insurance policies taken out in Shanti's name. The long shadow didn't stop at money. Sitting in the hands of David's defense were key pieces of physical evidence, blood-stained bed sheets they had held for months before turning over to investigators. A green cord also found, which detectives believed might have been used to strangle Shanti. No DNA was found, but prosecutors were convinced that David had the time and the cold intent to clean everything. Still, the answers would have to wait, because the next chapter of this case wasn't written in headlines or autopsy reports. It unfolded slowly, over nearly 5 grueling years. Legal delays dragged on, mental health examinations came and went, stretching the long, painful distance between tragedy and justice. David Trance was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia, but in early 2023, the court made its final call, deciding he was mentally competent to stand his trial. Prosecutor states that Shanti uncovered not only the lies about her husband's alleged fortune, but also his secret liaisons with other men. The court heard, just days before her death, Shanti had stormed out of a meeting with producers from Zombie House Flipping, and prosecution argued that this had infuriated David, who believed the reality show was the solution to their problems after the house he purchased had become a financial burden. His defense tried to insist that it was plausible an intruder is responsible for Shanti's murder.
The government's the one spinning here. The government's the one taking the insignificant and stacking them into a pyramid of inferences and asking you to make the same assumptions. The jury is bound by the law that the judge is going to give you, and I'm confident that after carefully deliberating and reviewing the law and spiritedly deliberating on the facts, listening to each other, a spirited exchange of ideas, that you'll come back and return the only just verdict in this case, and that's a verdict of not guilty.
After 6 days of intense scrutiny, the jury found 55-year-old David Trance guilty of first-degree murder.
The Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Port Orange County, Florida. Verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. So it says we all, dated at Orlando County, Orange County, Florida, on the 18th day of October, 2023.
After the verdict, Shanti's teenage son heartbreakingly recalled his mother as the best person he ever knew.
Your Honor, my mom was the best person I ever knew.
Shanti Cooper Trona's son took a moment to collect himself as he gave a statement to the judge before she handed down her sentence.
Early 2018, she was taken from me and my family. It's like a hole in my heart that I can't fill or fix. She didn't die peacefully. She did not deserve anything that happened to her that night.
Finally, David Trance was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the cold-blooded murder of his wife. If you're still with us, thank you for watching. Show some love by smashing that like button, and we'll see you in the next one.